In the past, she has assumed a number of engineering positions covering shale gas production, heavy oil production in the oil sands, pipeline development, and sour gas treatment. As a professional engineer, Reihaneh holds a Master of Business Administration and a Master's of Science in Chemical Engineering here from the University of Calgary. So please, help me welcome her.
Thank you. It's good to see that so many people are interested in energy and environment. I've spent all of my career to date around energy, and it looks like the rest of it will be in that field as well. So it's good to be talking to the next generation of up-and-comers in the energy industry. And I don't want this to be a one-way dialogue. I want us to discuss these things. A lot of this is not science and it's not fact. These are forecasts and a perspective on things. So the more we talk about it and the more we think how it's going to impact us on our day-to-day life and our future of our industry, the more that we can get out of this. So with that, I'm going to split the talk today into four main areas, and then we're going to discuss what's coming next. So after each one, I'll stop, and then we can discuss that topic. I hate to be talking the whole hour, so I need your help in making it go as smooth as possible. So I'm going to start with the supply and demand, which to understand an industry, you have to understand where the oil or the supply comes from and where it goes and who wants it. I'm going to be focusing, energy is not only oil and gas, but I only know oil and gas. So I'm just going to be focusing on the oil and gas. Then we're going to go to the Canadian story. And I know that you guys are going to have a case at the end. So spend some time there. Sanovis will most likely give you something around the oil sands. So we need to spend some time there and talk about the Canadian story. And then the game changers and what's coming next. So world energy supply. So who owns this oil? Where is it right now and how it has changed? Can you guys see this? Doesn't look like the color is coming through as well. So this is where the oil is. As all of us know, Middle East holds most of it, followed closely by Central and South America, Eurasia, Africa, and then we're way behind those countries in what we hold in North America. Then it's the natural gas. And natural gas, again, Middle East has the biggest share of it, and we are a distance right at the bottom in terms of how much we have. Now, these are proven oil reserves. So how many of you know what proven oil reserves are? Okay. Okay, so you guys worked in the energy industry. So for those of you who don't know or might want to know, it's the resources that they have found, and there's 90% possibility that it could actually successfully produce. So this shows the current picture with the current technology, and it's not, it might drastically change in 10 years if we find new sources or new ways. So the world has 1,239 billions of barrels of oil. We have 71. The world has 6,291 trillion cubic feet of gas. We have 308. And Canada is producing around 1.3, 1.4 right now. There are different views on it, but it could go from 4.3 million barrels to 6.5 million barrels by 2035. So there's a lot left. So good news is there's a lot of work for us. this is what I was talking to you about how this could change, this view could change. In 1995, I believe, the Middle East had about 69% of the oil and gas. And that has changed to 56%. So not a huge change, but still a change. So there's hope for us that, I was at a talk this week, I don't know if any of you attended, at the Petroleum Club, and there was someone from Citibank, which I'm going to refer to later on, talking about how North America is going to be the Middle East of the world in the future. And looking at this last night, I was thinking, really, I don't think we would be the Middle East, but I think we can make strides and we can become a power in energy. But where's the growth is going to be in the coming years? And this is a very interesting picture. Goldman Sachs, they estimate that the biggest growth in production is going to come from the US, followed closely by Brazil, and then Canada and Russia are going to follow. So there is going to be a lot of growth in the US, and let's think about what that would mean to us, which have a single client being US, or single consumer of our oil, besides domestic in the US. But the business of oil and gas is not an easy business to be in. There's a lot of risk involved, and there's a lot of the capital expenditure required is huge. So beside that, now look at Suncor, the Canadian examples. Look how much more it is going to cost us in Canada in terms of capital to produce our resources compared to some of our US competitors. Now you can argue that some of those companies are smaller companies, but the projects that we have here cannot be as small a project. So we have to have these bigger companies investing in new mines, investing in new production facilities, if it's in situ or don't have much of anything else. Now compare that to, it's actually, Pfizer is an interesting one, because I would have thought that they're very capital intensive because they have to spend a lot of money on research. But even Talisman, which is not one of our Canadian, the top of the list of the Canadian majors, has a higher capital expenditure in average in 3 years than Pfizer does. So, where's this risk? We have to put up a lot of money up front to produce, to explore our resources and to get them to a point that we can produce them. And you spend that money up front not knowing if it's going to give you what you want it to. Or you have an idea, you have an economical, but you have a feasibility study, but it isn't until it starts producing you're like, that was the right money to spend. So that's a huge risk. And then after you finish development and after you start producing, then you have operating costs, which we're going to talk about that later, because in Canada, one of our problems is that our operating costs are much higher than our competitors in the rest of the world. Then your production, you're going to start producing lots and lots of oil, and you're happy, and you go about doing your business, and 20 years later, there's nothing left in there. And now what? Now you can't just the abandonment of it is another cost, and that's something that needs to be considered when they make decisions about projects. This is how the oil flows today in the world.